right, so we are heading off to the stores to get color. I'm gonna go over to Salon Centric first, and then we're gonna go to Cosmoprof because both of them have different color lines. So I think I'm gonna get some shades, EQ, redken at Salon Centric, and then we'll go over into Cosmoprof to get the other stuff that I need. But I'm excited because this is actually like all new color lines for me. I mean, you guys know I love redken and I love shades and all of that, but other stuff, and I do use kenra here and there. The other stuff is stuff that I've never tried before, so I'm super excited to test it out. And it's funny because Jack Martin, if you guys don't follow him on Instagram, check him out. He is the one who I learned all these formulas from, so I actually was on his Instagram page digging around to see like what formulas he uses for his gray transformations, and that's where I pulled a lot of these colors from. So shout out to Jack. And it's funny because we actually are literally going to be passing by his salon here in just a quick second. It's like on the way to Salon Centric. So let's head over there and get some new colors. Wait, are they closed? What? They don't open till 12. Well, let's head over to Cosmoprof because I'm pretty sure that they're open and they have actually the majority of stuff that I need, so that's great. I think I actually have what I need from shades, so. All right, let's give it. Okay, well that didn't work out. Like I promise you, did not know they were closed. All right, let's go. Let's get out of here. All right, let's go try that again. Oh my gosh, are you serious? They open at 12? Okay, this is so stupid. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I guess I can go after. Well, I guess I'll have to go at 12 and come back. Alright, so I'm going to grab some 10SM and 7SM. They don't have 8SM, but I have used this color line before, so I feel a little bit more confident because I've used it before. So I'm going to grab that too, just in case, so we have it, because why not test out some more things. How are you guys? Did you find what you needed? Yes. Alright, so I'm finally in the salon. I've got all my color back there that we're going to be testing out. I've switched to our official YouTube camera here. But basically what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be swatching out all of these different formulas. And I think what makes me the most excited is it's been a long time since I've tried out some new color lines and tried out some formulas outside of my normal go-to formulas. So I'm excited to test them out and to really see the differences before we go into tomorrow's model. Because how many times have you ever had a consultation or you see a photo and you're like, okay, I think I know what formula I'm gonna do, but how often do we test things out before we actually put them on a client? So this is gonna be super fun, but let me show you the color that we got. I'll show you our color haul, how much it cost us, and we'll get to swatching. All right, so here is our color haul of all the different colors that we got, all the developers, and thank God I actually had some of this color already here because, as you know, color is expensive. In fact, this is how much we spent. There we go. So, you know, it was not a cheap color haul right there, but I'm excited. I'm excited to test out some stuff and to get to swatching some new stuff. So this is what I'm gonna be using to swatch out. These are little swatches from Pivot Point. You can buy them directly from them, and they're just like little swatches. I have these ones as well. I feel like these are gonna be too light because I'm not sure if her hair is going to lift that light, so we probably won't use those ones. These ones actually might be too dark. I also have used these ones before from Amazon, I believe. They're just like color swatches, so if I can find them, I will link them down in the description below. And I also wanted to show you this guy, which I think is really cool. This is basically a color swatch book from Pivot Point. And as you can see, we've got gray, we've got some darker, we've got like a level 8, yet 9, brassy, and then obviously platinum white. And so this is actually a really cool way to be able to kind of test out different color lines and make your own swatch book. So if you've ever wondered like, how is a color gonna look? What's it gonna look like? This could be a really awesome tool, and you could seriously just make your own swatch book for things that you wanna test out or different custom formulas. And then you could just like write them down in here and these like pop out. So as you can see, I've obviously never used it. I'm like, I'm too afraid. I wanna save it for something special, but obviously it's just sitting here. So I won't be using this today because I don't know if this is a special enough project, but we actually are probably gonna just use these old extensions. As you can see, we've kind of got a brassy one here. These are just extensions. I just straight up cut the length, and then I'm gonna cut them into smaller swatches. So these are just old extension hair that we have. Great way to use them up and use them for swatches. So let's get mixing. All right, so I have decided to start with Shades EQ. I'm gonna do 9V, 9B, equal parts. I'm just gonna go for it. Never done that before. We're gonna try it. 10VV on its own, and then a 9P on its own. I do have 90, what is this? 10P and 10T, but I only have one bottle of these, so I do wanna save those till tomorrow, but this will kind of get the same result just with the 9. So let's mix these guys up. We'll start with shades and then we'll move on to the other stuff. So I'm at my swatching station. Okay, so what I decided is I did cut up the little extensions into smaller like swatch pieces. So we have this like more brassy color. I wanna start with the brassy, but I also am gonna test out if we can lift it just a little bit lighter to see what that looks like. So I have 8 of these ones. So we'll start with these shades formulas, and then I think it'll be enough to test out the other ones. So let's try it. And I'm also gonna mark with a Sharpie what we're doing on each one so I don't forget. All right, so we've got our first swatches done. I'm going to not cover these with foil. I'm just gonna let them process open in the air. We'll set a timer for 20 minutes because that's how long you should leave it on, dry hair, 20 minutes, 20 to 25. And then I'll grab another foil and we'll do the final shades swatch. So next up, I'm mixing up our Schwarzkopf Blonde Me formula, and I'm gonna do ice on its own, and then I'm gonna do ice with lilac. I've never tried these toners before, but I've heard really good things. So we're gonna mix up and see how they turn out. So I think one of the reasons why I love swatching so much is because it allows you to try out different color lines. And I do get the question a lot of, Jamie, I see you always using X color line or this color. How do I know if I will like it? Or how do I know if I should switch color lines, or whatever the case might be? Or how did you learn that color line in the first place? And I think for me, like honestly, just slowly testing out color lines, swatch by swatch, or even tube of color by tube of color was truly how I kind of learned different color lines and expanded. But I'll be honest, like I am always a little freaked out to try out a new color line because it is scary. You're like, what if I mess up? Or what if it doesn't turn out the way that the swatch in the swatch book looks like? You know, what do I do if I mess up on a client? Or, you know, every single color line also does have their like little idiosyncrasies too of like, okay, when this starts to process, like this one's processing pink right now. And I have it on for like 2 seconds, and that might freak someone out of being like, oh my gosh, is it gonna turn their hair pink, you know? So there are different things that you do have to like kind of keep an eye out for, or whatever, that base is going to lift or whatever. And so that's why I think swatching before a client comes in is just so important, because it allows you to test it out without that worry of like, what if I mess it up? Or what if it gets screwed up and it's a client, you know? So I always recommend doing stuff like this. And that's why I think like having those leftover extensions, like legit, these are my clients' old extensions, whether they were in your head or they're in a client's head. If you have some leftover extension that a client's just gonna throw away, it's a great thing to save for swatching. Obviously you can do it on a doll head or buy little swatches as well, but if it's hair, that's good enough for swatching, like don't throw it away, you know? So this is something that's definitely, I used to do a lot more when I was like in the salon, but definitely when I was trying to learn a new formula or you know, test out a new color line, especially like if you saw a formula on Instagram or on a YouTube video like this and you're like, I don't know, will it work for what I'm needing, or will it work for the client that I have it in mind for? Just swatch it out, test it out, And this will give you a really good idea of like, oh, it's been processing 20 minutes or 15 minutes, like this is what it looks like. It'll give you that moment of clarity before a client comes in and you're at the shampoo bowl letting a toner process and you're like, crap, that's not what I expected it to look like, or you're freaking out in the moment. So I definitely recommend swatching. As you can see, this has been on for the second, however long I've been talking to you, and this one is turning pink, and that could like freak people out, This was our lightest swatch, but I have a feeling it's going to eventually look really good, but it's pink, and so that might freak you out. And maybe if I had done this on my model tomorrow, I might be like, holy crap, what's happening? Like, did I mix it right? Is this supposed to happen? Should I rinse it off? And so now I know if we decide to go with this swatch that I should be okay. So definitely something I recommend doing if you're not in the habit of swatching things out. Even if it's just literally having these swatches like prepared ahead of time, you can grab one, mix it up, do it while your first client is, processing, or while you're putting on their highlights. And then when the second client comes in, you kind of have an idea of what these swatches might look like. So yeah. And lastly, we've got our last formulas. I did some kenra. We're gonna do, it's basically 8SM. I mixed a little 7SM with 10SM because I didn't have 8SM. I have used this formula, but it's been a while, so I'm excited to try it out again. And then I did the Tang Dark Shadows color right in here. And then last but not least, we did the Kenra 6 NUA. So we're gonna mix these up, apply them. Obviously this is a little bit darker of a palette, but I wanna have some options in case we're not able to get as light as we want. So I'm excited to see how these turn out. For the 8SM, I decided to do a darker swatch in there as well, because it's kind of like this, I would say almost like in between a level 7 and level 8, probably closer to a level 8, which is why I'm doing the 8SM with it. But this is pretty warm. Obviously this is not fire engine orange or anything like that, but it's a little bit warmer, it's a little bit darker. So maybe tomorrow we won't be able to lift your hair as light, and so I wanted to test it out and just see what that looked like against a darker swatch, not just these really light ones, because at the end of the day, you never know how the hair is gonna lift. So I'd rather be set up for success and have tested it out versus like trying to have to figure it out in the moment. Now, of course, things can always happen and we might have to still figure it out in the moment tomorrow, but at least I'm a little bit more prepared just kind of knowing how dark this can cover. So we're gonna start with the 8SM. I'm excited to see this one. So now I'm applying the Dark Shadows color, and there's no level for this color. Now, I don't know much about this color. I really don't know much about the Tang hair colored line at all. I've never really used it. I have used his Kenra color that he came out with that collection years ago. Obviously, the SMs were part of that line, I think back in the day. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I am excited to try this out. I do believe that this is kind of like a toner that you watch it, and then when it achieves the desired result, you rinse it. Not 100% sure on that one, but because there is no level, I think it's probably a progressive color where it just keeps getting darker, especially just with the name Dark Shadows. It was on the swatch at Cosmoprof a little bit deeper. So I am gonna watch this one. I'm not necessarily going to time it out. And that's a fun thing about experimenting, is we get to test it out and see what it actually does. And again, I'm not in the moment having to freak out with my client at the shampoo bowl because her hair just turned black or something like that. So we're just gonna kind of watch this one because this one is a little bit different than the others. It is a permanent color. All the other ones are demi permanent, so this one is permanent, but I did want to just throw in an option because I do know that this one is used quite often, so we shall see. And last but not least, the 6 NUA. This is more gonna be like a low light. We're probably not gonna use this like all over. 6 is pretty dark, but I do wanna see as a low light if it has too much brown in it, which actually could work in our benefit depending on what happens with her hair tomorrow. But I definitely know that we're probably gonna add in some low lights, whether we do it with the foils as we're lightening, or like in between the foils, or maybe go back in and add in some low lights. So I'm curious to see what this one turns out like. I just want to make sure it doesn't have too much brown, or that the base doesn't look too brown. And as I suspected, the Dark Shadows is pulling up like on this. You can kind of see this light swatch right here. That was like our level 8 right there. Level 8, level 9. it's already going pretty dark. So I'm glad we're watching this. Obviously on the darker one, it is not processing as quickly, but yeah, I mean, like, I really like that color right here that we have going on. And this has been on not even 5 minutes. So we're gonna see. All right, so we have finished applying all of these swatches, and I just wanted to show you what they look like so far before we rinse them out. So these ones have a little bit longer to go, but these guys are ready to rinse out. And as you can see, definitely we did not get as much coverage on some of them as I would like. So I'm gonna rinse these out, and then I'll share with you the results of what it's looking like. I do think I am gonna rinse this one out because I think it is ready to go. All right, and now we have the reveal time. I wanted to make sure that this showed up on camera as well as possible. Obviously it's hard to kind of see, but I put these on white cards and then I just stapled them to almost like a formulation card so that I could really get the true two-tone color. So the results are in. Personally for me, I think that this is a really great experiment because it allowed me to see kind of the underlying colors in some of the formulas that I picked out, and also helped me realize, okay, I actually have used formulas that I love in the past. So for me, I'm really liking this Kenra ASM. As you can see, we do have a lot of that natural gray. Obviously, it's gonna be a little bit deeper and darker, but I do love how like blue that this turned out. And this is also at a level 8, so it's gonna be a little bit darker. We could test out something like a level 9 as well. I'm also really digging this Blonde Me Ice. As you can see on the lighter swatch, it turned out beautiful. The darker swatch, not as much, but obviously we're toning at such a much darker level, so I didn't know how it was going to do. I wasn't too impressed with the Blonde Me in Lilac. I also do really like the 9V, 9B formula in shade DQ. I have used that as well, but also as you can tell, on that darker swatch, it isn't going to cover as well, but you know, that isn't a level 9 truly, so that makes sense. These ones, beautiful blonde tones, but definitely not what I'm looking for here. But again, it's just really helpful to see like, okay, if I did use this for a blonde, this is a really beautiful blonde color. So definitely something interesting. This has always happened to me where the ends pull up a little bit darker or deeper, more purple and pink, and then the roots don't as much. So something to keep in mind with the VVs. I've had that happen in the past. So just a lot of observations here, but I'm excited to see what we end up going with tomorrow. But I truly think that this experiment was so helpful. So yeah, this has been a really helpful method that I have used. And the cool thing about this is you could literally keep these in your client record box with your client cards, or you can have your own separate box for specifically these swatches that you've made that you know work or don't work. And so this is definitely something that I've never really done, but this was really fun to dive into and do. I've done swatching before, but I've never really put them on the cards and kind of kept a record like this. So if you end up doing something like this, let me know. Tag me on Instagram or post something like that. I'd love to see your little swatch cards that you create. But I'm feeling really excited. I'm feeling a lot more confident for tomorrow because I think sometimes it can be a little scary going into a full color correction, especially working with color lines you've never worked with and doing something totally different than what you normally do. So I feel a lot more confident. I feel excited for tomorrow. I really am excited for this transformation. So when this goes live, we will have the color transformation going live a week later. So I'm sorry you gotta wait for a week. But anyways, I hope that this video is helpful for you just to kind of see behind the scenes of me picking out color and what I do to prepare for big color corrections like this. And I'd love to see if you do a swatch day as well. Like I said, if you make these little cards, tag me, I wanna see them. But let me know in the comments if this was helpful. And one other thing I just wanted to leave off on before I end this video is I honestly get so many questions on what is the best blonde formula or what is the best gray formula or fill in the blank formula. And I think videos like this really show you guys that there's so many different formulas out there and there's so many different variables per client. And so I'm never one to just say like, oh, this is the best blonde formula or this is the one I always use, because I don't always use the same thing. So what I want you to do is, instead of asking me or somebody that you work with or somebody else you look up to, what's the best formula? I want you to figure out that for yourself and do things like this on the swatches, because whether you've been doing hair for 10, 20 years, 5 years, however long, this kind of stuff is so helpful. It helps you get re-inspired, it helps you try new things, and it helps you use your brain in a different way. And if you're watching this and you're a brand new stylist or you're in cosmetology school right now, start doing this. Add this into something that you do every single week. Buy one extra tube of color when you're at Cosmoprof or the store or whatever, and just pick it out and do a swatch on it. And I promise you that it'll get your brain turning in different ways and get you thinking in ways that you probably haven't thought of before. So definitely something I recommend doing, and I hope that this was helpful. I hope that it was helpful to see all of these colors that I laid out, but what I would recommend is don't take these for word, right? Like obviously in the same way you're not taking your swatch book colors for, you know, the Bible. This isn't the Bible either. This was my own experiment in lighting that is a little bit different than maybe what you have, and so even the way that colors show up on camera can look a little bit different. So don't just take this of like, oh well, I saw Jamie's swatch that she made. I recommend you swatch it out yourself and take this as part of your information to start your own experiment. So anyways, just wanted to say that as a disclaimer and an encouragement to you to try something out, and you never know if you're gonna find your favorite brand new formula. All right guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Like I mentioned, stay tuned for next week's color correction, which is going to be dropping live next week when this comes out, but I'm actually doing it tomorrow. So I'm super stoked, I cannot wait, and I will see you guys next time.